Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Tuesday, the 15th of Shawwal 1443, corresponding with the English date 17th of May 2022. This Majlis took place after the Ishraaq Salat at the residence of Hazrat Wala Damat Barakatuhum. Hazrat Wala is saying that some of the Buzruks have mentioned وَلَقَدْ قَالَ بَعْضُهُمْ إِنَّ الْغُمُومَ ثَلَاثَةٌ, that there are three types of gham and distress. غَمُّ الطَّاعَةِ أَلَّا تُقْبَلَ, the distress over obedience that they may not be accepted. وَغَمُّ الْمَعْصِيَةِ أَلَّا تُغْفَرَ, and the distress and gham over acts of disobedience that may not be pardoned. وَغَمُّ الْمَعْرِفَةِ أَن تُسْلَبْ, and the distress of Allah recognition that it may be snatched away. Hazrat Wala goes on to say and speak about here in Allahabad, the Khusru Bagh, that particular portion, place, or those gardens, there is a huge gate there, and normally that gate used to be closed so that at night outsiders may not enter into the city. It's just there near the masjid. And similarly, there was this king, and normally the kings at nights, they close the gates of their castle or their fort. So during the day, an Arif happened to pass by, and he realizes that the gate of the king is closed. On inquiring, somebody said that the bird of the king has escaped, so that's why we closed the gates. So this Arif and saintly person was so astonished. He says, Ya Allah, such foolish people that can't they even understand so much? And what is the relationship of the gate being closed with that of a bird? Can't that bird fly over the gate? Allahu Akbar. Anyway, he said something else as well, that Ya Allah, you have given authority and kingdom, governance to such foolish people. Immediately Allah Ta'ala sends ilham to this person, saying that, say, if you want, we can do an exchange, we can give you this authority and kingdom, and we can take your ma'rifat away. We can snatch away this recognition that has been given to you, the recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, ma'rifat and the recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is something different to the wealth and riches of this world. It is a great treasure, and people fear it being snatched away. People fear it being snatched away. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and protect that ma'rifat, that we should be disrespectful to Allah or to this ma'rifat of Allah in some way or the other. Hazrat Maulana Gangohi writes that this batini hal, he writes about this spiritual state, internal spiritual state, that we should protect it, or we should make hifazat of it, and we should have fikr, and we should understand it to be a great wealth. We should make shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it, because this ma'rifat, this spiritual internal state, is a very dear guest, visitor. And once it is snatched away, it doesn't come again. It does not return. It is not made to return. Allahu Akbar. Hazrat Wala then thereafter goes on to speak about just some, how do you call it, one dana one pea, a chickpea, or just a slice or a piece of bread, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says to Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha that be considerate, be careful and cautious about it, because when this is snatched away, it doesn't come back. Now, this is regarding rozi, which is something which is external, our external rozi. Similarly, we have the batini rozi, the internal rozi, which is the ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, we should make qadr and appreciate our zahiri and external rozi and the internal rozi as well, which is the ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, Hazrat Wala goes on to say and speak about the days of Fatahpur. In the very early days, when Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab hadn't yet moved to Gorakhpur, and from Gorakhpur thereafter to Allahabad. So this is the very early days. Where Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, he says, I seen him myself bending down to pick up one grain of wheat. Allahu Akbar. That was the qadr that Hazrat had. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says to Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha to appreciate just a piece of bread. So sometimes a musibat and a calamity comes. Allahu Akbar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us in His protection. Allah keep us in His protection. So the author then goes thereafter, Hazrat Imam Ghazali rahimahullah goes on to say in Minhajul Abidin that in reality there is just one type of gham and distress, and that is the gham and distress over the snatching away of Allah recognition, the ma'rifat of Allah. All other forms of distress are of a lower level because they can cease at some point or the other. As for the snatching away of Allah recognition, this type of gham, this type of distress can never ever be removed. Never ever be removed. Yusuf ibn Asbat rahimahullah related to us. What does he relate? He says, Dakhaltu ala Sufyan. I went to Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah. And he continues that I observed Sufyan al-Thawri crying the entire night. Dakhaltu ala Sufyan فبكى ليله أجمع. فقلت, I said to him, بكاؤك على هذا الذنوب. Tell me, are you crying over the fear of your sins? And what happens after that? فحمل تبنا وقال. He picked up a blade of grass and he said, الذنوب على الله أهون من هذا. A sin is more insignificant in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than this blade of grass. Innama akhsha ayaslabani Allahul Islam. Allahu Akbar. What I really fear is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala snatching away the treasure of Islam from me. Allahu Akbar. We beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to test us through any tribulation, to complete His favors on us through His grace and bless us with death on Islam. He is the most merciful of those who show mercy. Now we explain the meaning and the reason for a bad death in Ihya'ul Ulum. You may refer to it. If I were to start this topic, it would require a lengthy discussion which this book cannot accommodate. Understand this concise treatise because lengthy discussions sometimes create unintended doubts. I am confining myself to a short discussion. Perhaps you will acquire success through Allah's help and inspiration. Through Allah's help and inspiration. So we continue. Hazrat Wala goes on to quote that Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, while he was in the Khanka in Tana Bhawan, there was a person who used to weep a lot and people used to praise him because of that. So he went on to say that, why do you people praise me? Why do you people praise me? I am crying because my ma'rifat has been snatched away. My ma'rifat has been snatched away. This Allah recognition, the ma'rifat of Allah, has been snatched away from me. And Hazrat seen and observed in his stay there many things like this. And then he came to Allahabad, he established himself and he started giving his majalis and relating these things to us. Now all of this here, these were the specialities, the khususiyat of Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab that he came on and he passed on over to us. And such things he observed that left him completely overwhelmed with the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, if we do not have the ma'rifat and the Allah recognition with us, the recognition of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and saintly people, then what happens? Then, because of this year, eventually so many people become a murtad and apostate. So, a person then makes badgumani, entertains an evil thought of Allah or the Rasul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, due to which his mind also becomes, he has bad thoughts of the deen itself. Allahu Akbar. Many people just understand the deen to be insignificant. And it is for this reason that they understand it to be insignificant, because this marifat, this Allah recognition is snatched away from them. Now, these articles and topics are so important, we just went through it now, that no matter how many times you go over it, indeed it is less. We should not be negligent. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with His recognition. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created jinn and man except so إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, so that they can carry out my ibadat. لِيَعْبُدُونَ ay لِيَعْرِفُونَ, meaning so that they can recognize me. So we don't even have to make ta'wil and interpret it. Ibadat in itself is something so great. Ilahi maqsood man tu hi wa rizaye tu muhabbat wa ma'rifat khud bidah. Oh Allah, oh my ilah, my objective and my goal is you and your pleasure. Muhabbat wa ma'rifat khud bidah. Therefore bless me with your love and your recognition. Now this is the khas wazifa of the Mashayikh in Naqshbandiya Hazrath. And the father of Hazrat Shah Waliullah, Hazrat Shah Abdul Rahim Sahab, used to say that whatever I achieved, it is because of this particular dua. Allahu Akbar. If a person has his own ma'rifat, then this I can do this and I can do this. This I all the time. That will eventually come to an end. So this I that we have about ourselves, that being self-conceited and this pride and arrogance, is all because we have not understood and recognized ourselves. Hazrat Wala is saying that in 1978, when he went to the Haramain and he stayed for 2 long months, and he would go around with Hazrat Maulana Abraham al-Haq Sahab, and then he would go and sometimes they would meet certain people, and there was nothing about them except that ananiyat, that this was dripping from them rather, that I can do this and I can do that, and nothing was achieved by visiting and going to these people. And this year is the most severe ailment and sickness, this ananiyat, that I can do this, being self-conceited and proud. In fact, shaitan's destruction actually came from there. That khalaqtani min nari wa khalaqtahu min tin, that you've created me from fire, you created him from sand. Why should I bow down to him? So this majlis is not for certain person. Rather, this majlis is for everybody. Rather, I would say this majlis is for me. فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Then do not purify yourself. هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who knows best, who is the one who has the most taqwa. So suluk, all and all of it, in fact, is in this ayat. Write it down. Write it down. This sabak, sometimes you go to the schools or the madrasas and then they make you repeat these sabaks over and over again. Yes, this sabak is like this and it deserves that we repeat it and make revision and door of it over and over again. Some people actually write themselves or ask others to write for them this title for them and that title for them. What is all of this? Tariq mitane ka naam hai. This tariq and this path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually annihilation of oneself. That this ananiyat and this airs that we have about ourselves, and I can do this, self-conceitedness and pride, it is to destroy all of that. In fact, after salat, it is possible that this type of pride and self-conceitedness creep into a person. It is greatly possible. It is for this reason that after salat, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself would say astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. In fact, myself speaking about this article and this topic, dar lagta hai, I also feel scared and afraid. In fact, Hazrat Wala then addresses somebody in the majlis and says to him, according to what you said, that instead of muraqabah of maut and meditating over death, these days we find rather mushahada while we have been through the pandemic, that we will see it right in front of ourselves, one after the other. So many of our near and dear ones had passed away. Hazrat Wala goes on to say, so many of my senior khulafa all passed away. In Baroda we had Maulana Musa, and he was healthy, well, hearty, well built, takrese, and like them, Hazrat Wala is even looking at someone in the majlis there and saying, someone like you, Maulana Musa Saheb was like that. And he used to come himself. He used to come himself here to invite me. Nevertheless, leave all of that. فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. We should make muraqabah and meditate and ponder over this particular ayat. فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. Am I reciting it correctly? Hazrat Wala says. Ji. And then he continues that so much of mujahadat and sacrifices and spiritual exercises Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab done and underwent and went through. And then I'm saying to you people, this kitab that I have in front of me, any person who conducts, who is a wa'iz and who would give discourses and talks, bayans, etc., a wa'iz, if he has this with him, he has no need then after that for anything else. Rather, this is maghz. It is the essence. And then the name of it also is so bada acha hai, so wonderful. Dastur salikin liqurbi rabbil alameen. A manual for the spiritual seekers. So this name, the name of the kitab is so amazing, and it is just not a manual for here or there or some type of code and law. Rather, it is a manual for the success of the akhirat. People say, how are we going to die and this and that, discussions people talk. You take one lukma, one morsel, and you put it into your mouth. Sometimes choking on that one morsel leads to death. Sometimes we inhale, but we do not have the opportunity then to exhale. In all of that we pass away. Allah Ta'ala bless us with husn khatamah. And Allah Ta'ala give us the fikr for this husn khatama and this good end as well. Allah Ta'ala bless us with His pleasure. Ilahi maqsood man tu hi wa rizaye tu muhabbat wa ma'rifat khud bideh. Oh Allah, you and your pleasure, tu hi wa rizaye tu. Maqsood man tu hi wa ridaye tu. Oh Allah, our goal and our objective is only you and your pleasure. Therefore bless us with your love and your muhabbat. If only, Hazrat Wala goes on to say, Kash, if only the world could listen to this, what I am saying. If only the world could listen to what I am saying. Allah Ta'ala, give me the tawfiq first and foremost, my awlad, my progeny, my family, people, and of course all our muta'alliqeen, all the Muslimin. Today we are going in the direction of destruction. Hum tabahi ki taraf ja rahe hain. Whatever you get, whatever little you get regarding your food and drink, suffice on that, and then put all efforts and fikr and worry to that of the akhirat. Allahu Akbar. And regarding our moments of happiness, shadi, biyah, our weddings and walimas, etc., and regarding our occasions of gham, worry, grief and sorrow, let it be with ikhtisar, let it be concise, and let it be with i'tidal, complete and total moderation. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.